Let's call the May 3rd Town Council meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can't keep my lipstick.
I'm going to do a roll call. Bill?
Present.
Chris?
Here.
Clint? Here. Brandy?
Here.
Angie?
Here.
Everybody's here tonight. One item has been removed from the agenda. Keller Development has been taken off the agenda for tonight. Next on the agenda is approval of claims 25-119 to 25-171 as presented in our paperwork. Do I hear a motion on those claims?
I make a motion to approve. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any discussion on those claims? All those in favor of passing those claims, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pass 5-0. Next item on the agenda is our public comments, 3-minute time limit per person for items that are only on the agenda. Does anybody have anything today, to say today?
I declare.
Name and address?
Dale Wagner, 4460 South 600 West. Mine's concerning the request for public information. Recently, I requested some 4 documents that Clint had referenced concerning the Bakovic project, and I requested those on March 20th. On March 21st, Jenny Brenner got back with me and said they were out of town. She'd get it to me after the 24th, after that Friday. I finally received the documents I requested on April 5th in my email at 10:12 a.m. So 16 days after I requested it. I don't think that's at all timely, and I feel it was purposeful, because that was the meeting that vote was at. So I'd like to see that addressed, whoever's making the decisions to keep records away from the public until the very last minute. I'd like to see that addressed. I also sent a request out to the lawyer about the meeting. I believe this was March 1st, when 2 of you, the vice president and president, were out, and Bill was the acting president, although it was not voted on. When I questioned it, the lawyer sent me an answer that had a whole different scenario than what can be viewed on.
Hey, Dale, I hate to stop you, but this is supposed to be for things that are on the agenda tonight. We'll have
It is on
public,
the-
we'll
it's
have,
on the agenda.
what's on the agenda?
It's request for public information revisited. So this was a request for public information. Anyway, what he sent me was not what was in the on the video. So I just think those are a couple things concerning public information that should be addressed.
Clint, if I could respond.
Okay.
To To the first issue about the timing of the response, I don't do the timing of the responses. The staff will ask for legal interpretation or the requirements of public records request. I think as the council knows and the town residents should know, you have a small staff who works on a very limited budget and works very hard. They're busy running the city or town day to day. And the statute requires that you respond in a reasonable amount of time. And reasonable is also taking into consideration all the other things going on. So if you have an issue with how quickly they responded, I think take a walk in their shoes. They work very hard, and I don't think there's been any attempt to delay or withhold information by the town staff. Statute requires reasonable, and I think they responded in a reasonable amount of time. If Mr. Wagner has an issue with that, he can take that up with the public access counselor. I'm very confident in the town's position that your town employees are working diligently to respond to those. From what I've seen.
I'll chime in. I've seen public access counselor comments and written opinions on timeliness of responses where they've said 90 to 100 days is acceptable. So in this situation, to get a response within 16 days and to complain about it, I don't think it even warrants a response. It's reasonable under the statute, and we should just move forward.
And as to the second matter, which I agree with you, Mr. President, that's not relevant to the agenda, but may be relevant to other public comments. I responded to the full council on the procedure, and I stand by that opinion on the procedure under Robert's Rules of Order. What is on the agenda under public comment is, I believe, what Councilor Farno brought up about pictures on Dale's phone, and Dale will fully recognize and admit that that wasn't caught on video either, and yet he doesn't question that that existed. I did not respond to Dale's second email because it's not my place to argue with residents. I just stated my legal position, and the legal position stands that at that time Bill said, well, I will move forward as president. Nobody objected, and so that under Robert's Rules of Order, it's consent, and they proceeded with the meeting.
Well, and Doug, also, if I can jump, and I apologize for cutting you off, but we have 3 elected officials on the town council: the president, the vice president, and the secretary. All 3 are officers. And at that meeting, the president and the vice president were absent. The only remaining officer, the secretary, which is me, presided over the meeting. That 100% complies with Robert's Rules of Order. So again, it just doesn't warrant any further response, and we should move forward.
Thank you for the opportunity to have public comment. I didn't realize it was going to turn into a discussion like this, but
I see, under Robert's Rules of Order, you should stop talking until the floor has been recognized to you. So if we want to ask everybody to recognize Robert's Rules of Order, it needs to start with the public as well.
Is there anybody else that has a comment they want to make about something on the agenda?
Yeah, I do. If we're going to have public comments on there, the public shouldn't feel attacked when they make comments. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is adoption of the April 19th, 2023 Town Council meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the April 19th council meeting minutes.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion on the April 19th minutes? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, under old business, our item is the request for public information revisited.
And we will keep revisiting it until the answers are answered. It was a request that was made not only by Dale, but also by myself in the meeting in January regarding information that was presented during a public meeting that was presented as factual information. And I had yet to get where these factual information was obtained from before it was presented to the public as factual information.
So, your question is who took the picture?
Yeah, that's what it's gonna come down to. It'll keep coming down to that. Because people are not gonna come to the meeting and speak out at meetings if they're gonna be personally attacked, or if they're gonna sit in these meetings and have their phones videotaped and then presented against them later. People will not come and say, or speak their mind or their piece at these meetings if they feel like they're gonna be attacked on a personal level. It's absolutely ridiculous, the conduct that goes on up here when addressing the public, and it has to stop. What everybody up here allows is going to continue. I can't be the one up here saying it all the time.
So was there video verification of who took the picture?
There's a picture from the security cameras of where everybody was sitting, and then we have the picture of Dale's phone and which angle that the picture was taken.
Mr. President, if I may, I work with staff. The president gets to decide if he wants to recognize.
We're discussing it right now, and if he asks for legal opinion, then he will ask for legal opinion, and you're talking out of order too.
Shouldn't be attacked. Why would you attack our council?
Okay.
Still silence.
Why?
Nobody's
No,
talking to you.
You can't silence people.
Here's the questions we want to answer. Who took the picture? Who did they give the picture to? Who gave the picture to Bill to present at a public meeting, and why?
Thank you.
That's the questions.
Those are the questions.
Now let's hear what you got to say.
Is that to me, Mr. President?
Huh?
Is that to me?
No, that's to anybody that wants to speak up.
We're all quiet now. This is not going to go away, and it's going to keep coming up until the questions are answered. It should not have been stuck out there as factual information in a public meeting if nobody was going to back up what they presented at a public meeting as factual information. So this is just going to keep coming up until the answers come up. It's not going to be swept under the rug.
Well, I mean, all I can say is I know I had nothing to do with it. I don't know anything about it, so I guess I'll just sit here quietly until we figure it out, which might never happen. So this is what we want to do here. I don't see anything moving forward, so I got time.
My only response is it doesn't warrant a response. Let's move forward.
It does warrant a response.
Well, the response is who gave you the picture and that you presented at a public meeting, Bill?
Doesn't warrant a response. Let's move forward.
It's not going to move forward.
It's fine.
Dale has a right to know who was taking pictures of his phone.
There's no
I have a right to
person-
know where you got the documentation to present against a fellow council member as being factual when it was not even factual information. Because if that were the case, anybody up here could be sitting here making false accusations at anybody else that's up here. You have to have your information correct, and you have to fact check it before you present it to the public as factual information, which was obvious that did not happen.
Well, I guess the question is who gave you the picture, Bill, to present it at a public meeting?
I don't need to answer that question, Clint,
Then
No,
why-
you don't have to answer it.
and I'm not going to.
But it was enough for you to present it as factual information at that meeting. You were asking for a response because you presented it at the meeting.
If you would have been at that meeting, we could have had a meaningful discussion. That was one of many you chose not to attend.
You know what I can do for that meeting in particular is I can show that I was at a doctor's office and the hospital in this particular meeting. But we didn't discuss that, we were just discussing the fact that I wasn't present at the meeting. So,
Well, I think it's a reasonable question. Who gave you the picture to present as information at a public meeting?
the picture of Dale's phone and then a zoomed-in picture of what was on Dale's phone. Just because he's here and it's in a public setting does not mean that everybody here should have somebody behind them taking pictures of their phone just because they come and they have objections to stuff that's happening in the town. You can't do that. You can't fill a tax coming in here and ask the people to come and state what they want or have their voices heard and then yell at them when they come up here and want their voices heard. It's ridiculous. Talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Doug, I'm just curious, because I'm not legal counsel, nor do I pretend to be one or interpret it correctly. Is anything about attending a public meeting like this, or anything of itself, is there any, I'll say, rights or protection for people to not have their personal property infringed upon, taken pictures of, shared? I mean, I don't know if y'all anticipate, I'm not trying to pick sides, I'm not. I'm just curious, like, do y'all anticipate coming to something like this and you have to take a phone call or have to call somebody or text somebody or check your email? Do you ever anticipate or worry about not having that privacy to take care of your business? I mean, would y'all feel that you've been infringed upon, or would it be not a shocker to you? I mean, I'm not taking sides on this. I mean, I just think it's a very simple piece here. And legal or not, ethical, moral or not, I mean, I'm just curious.
So the legal answer to that is no, there's no expectation of privacy in public space. Now, does that mean that the standards of courtesy and good relations means that you should peer over everybody's shoulder and snap pictures of them? No, but people make a living off being paparazzi, and they take pictures of people all the time when they're in public, and that's their right to do that. So there's no expectation of privacy. Also, the Public Records Act, Indiana Public Records Act, requires that public documents be disclosed. It does not require an inquisition or questions to be answered. And so while I understand that it's a reasonable question to ask where the pictures came from, the law allows you to request public documents. I trust staff. They asked me what the law required. They did the inquisition on what video was available. I think they talked to Chief and to IT, and they checked for the video that Dale requested. And so I believe a thorough review of what has been done, or what was available, has been done. If there's other information that is sought, and they think, if Angie or Dale think that that's in a record form, they should ask for it. And if it's not supplied, then I would fully encourage them to address that with the public access counselor. The goal of the public access law is for transparency, but it doesn't mean you have to answer questions. So if somebody's hiding something and it's been asked for, then there should be repercussions. But staff has asked for what Dale requested, and they turned around and gave him the answer that he received. And I think I agree that factual information should be presented at a meeting, and that was all I was trying to do, was correct the record when Dale spoke earlier. And so if Dale, if you felt attacked, I'm sorry. I just wanted to set the record straight, just as Angie said that the record should be set straight when facts aren't presented. So there's my legal opinion.
And the reason I ask is because when I hear things in the community and feedback, what I hear is just like about this general relationship, if you can call it that, interaction, mood, environment, and things like that, and the issues that, you know, we need to focus on in the community and move forward with, you know, infrastructure and progress and things like that. And what I continue to hear is frustrations and lack of trust and security over issues, and this is one of them. And like I said, I'm not, this is just a genuine conversation or question on, you know, because people are asking or they're curious. And so if not this, then it's another issue or another issue or another issue. And I think that, you know, it's difficult.
Dale, what were you given? Were you given anything?
No.
No pictures? That was.
The video wasn't available.
Well, wait a minute now. He's not in this conversation.
No, I'm asking, he asked for documentations for a public record. And Doug said that the staff gave them what was required or what they had access to. I don't know what Dale was given. He had a records request. Did you get the records that were requested? That's all I was asking. Okay, that's all I
The
was asking.
request was answered.
Was it?
I responded to it, yeah. I
Okay,
didn't get the video, no.
okay. I don't believe there was a video, but I think there was a picture.
Yeah, I asked if it was on certain people's phones, they said no, there wasn't anything on phones. And the video wasn't available in any other form than what was on YouTube.
Okay.
But you all pay somebody to take that video, you don't have an ordinance that allows them to edit it, or an agreement that allows them to edit it, so the video, the full video should be available, not in its edited.
Dale, you're not in this conversation.
I'm sorry, you all started talking.
Yeah, this is mind-boggling. I'm sorry, but this is mind-boggling. I can't, I mean, we're either going to clarify this or ask questions of the person that made the request or the complaint to clarify something, or we're not. I mean, no offense, but if a council member has a question of a person in the audience to clarify something, I mean, I think that's all that was happening.
Yes.
Is there anything else on that tonight?
I'm going to be severely irritated if I have to pay attorney fees out of my own pocket again in order to get this situated or get answers for the constituents, which I am willing to do again, because we can't get the answers or the legal background information, or at least saying that if something was unethical or it's black and white, then I guess that's what I'm going to have to do.
Well, we got our legal opinion from the attorney that we paid to give us that legal advice, Angie. I don't know
I
what
know.
the...
Well, Council President, what's your plan to do with it, or your opinion on, I mean, the issue? I don't know.
Well, I'm
Ping
gonna-
ponging on this I just don't know what else to say or do.
Since it was something that I added to the agenda, this is my take on it, besides the fact that I don't think people should feel violated when they come to these meetings. I think that it should stay as a safe environment, and people can say what they want to say and not feel attacked for it later or beat up on later. But aside from that, the fact that it was information presented against a fellow council member, and it's presented as factual information, which was proven that it was not factual information. I don't know how the rest of you would feel if it was that were you that was stuck up there on that block like that, and there were lies told about you to the public. I don't know if any of the rest of you would be sitting here as comfortably as what you were doing if you guys were in those shoes. I know everybody thinks that I can handle myself, and if I have a problem, I have no problem with voicing it, but I am only one of 5 people. If any of you guys want to be in those shoes and have all that stuff presented against you, that wasn't factual information that was presented as factual information, and I seriously doubt the rest of you would be okay sitting up here knowing that there was a council member that was slandering you and be okay with it. But it's 5 people, it's a majority voice.
Well, without somehow getting the picture and knowing where that picture came from, I don't know how that's going to be answered tonight, because anybody that knows anything about it isn't talking about it.
That doesn't make it okay.
No, that doesn't make it okay.
Andrew, do you feel like you've explained your situation, defended your position adequately, and feel like that you've proven that
No,
that is
because
not true?
for several reasons, but one of it, even on that particular meeting, had to do with you.
Well, I understand. I'm saying, do you feel like you've proven that whatever was not accurate?
Well, I've proven that it wasn't accurate because I brought the documentation, but I had the documentation of the picture also that seems to be lacking for whatever reason, for Dell to be able to have access to it.
I'm just making sure you don't still feel like,
Yeah, but I don't think it instills confidence into the constituents out there that they're not going to be violated if they say something against something that comes up on our agenda. I don't think that they'll feel safe saying anything that, without later feeling like they're going to be attacked. I mean, Dale used to come out with his phone and everything, and you don't see his phone in his hand anymore, do you? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, but
I mean, and that's why I asked the question to clarify for the public, that if you are in a meeting and now you know the precedent that's been set or the legal precedent, look, again, without judgment, but I just wanted a fact or an explanation on.
if I was in an RDC meeting and I'm out there in the public, because I'm not on the RDC, and somebody was taking pictures of my phone, I'd be livid. I would be absolutely livid. I know it's a public meeting, but seriously? That's just, I don't know.
Well, you'll find, Angie, that what is legal
Yeah. I'm getting that.
and what is ethical are like miles apart. Or even, maybe they're not miles apart. But anyway, let's move on to new business. Katie Molander with Zoe's Place is here to make her presentation. Thank you, Katie.
Hello, everyone. So I'm here tonight to formally thank you in person for the funding that you provided to Zoe's Place. For those of you that don't know, Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is an advocacy center that supports Hancock County. So the quick explanation is that when children disclose abuse or neglect, previously they were, and Chief Neely would be aware of this, they would be interviewed by law enforcement, possibly DCS caseworker, and oftentimes those children would be very intimidated, or there's a lot that goes into how children communicate, especially at different developmental levels, so a lot of times they might agree with something or say something in a different way, and so their story would be maybe convoluted, or a lot of information wouldn't be obtained effectively in it, and so maybe the justice for the child wouldn't actually be served. So the Child Advocacy Center comes in, we are a place where children can come, they can have the interview in one setting. We have a trained, neutral interviewer that interviews them, I, myself, or we have a forensic interviewer, Rhonda. And then law enforcement, DCS, prosecutor, any kind of advocacy for the child and the family are actually in another room watching the interview through a video. We do let the children know that we have friends in the other room that are watching the video, so it's not like we're just videotaping kids and they don't know. So at that time, law enforcement, DCS, prosecutor, they can work together to talk about the case. Maybe they would like the interviewer to explore some more avenues. We ask a lot of open-ended questions of what has happened or not happened to the child comes through to us through the child's voice, not the interviewer. So this resource, we serve all of Hancock County, so I don't know if it was my predecessor or someone had come and asked for some funding support from the town council previously, and you guys have granted us that support. So I'm here to say thank you. I will let you know that 10% of the kids that come to Zoe's Place are actually from New Palestine. Whether you look at it as from their address or from the school, if you look at it both ways, the numbers are actually a little different from the actual town of New Palestine versus the school, but it's around 10%. We've seen over 300 kids since we opened in 2020. We've seen over 70 already this year. So we are definitely on trajectory to be much higher than we were in the previous 2 years. That, while it might seem scary, maybe intimidating, the truth of it is, with the amount of people that we have in Hancock County, that's still actually a low number for what we're seeing at Zoe's Place. So we are encouraged by the increase in the children that are coming. Just because that means that they know about us, they know we exist, they know we're out there, and we're providing that support and that justice for more children. I can say we actually recently, in the past few months, there was a case that was charged that came out of this town. It was a case that was charged by an investigator from New Pal Police Department, and it was one of 2 cases in the last few months that were charged. So it is definitely, it came out of Zoe's Place. The interview came through Zoe's Place. So I just want to thank you again in person for your very generous funding contribution and ask you to keep us in mind for next year when you're doing your budget. We are growing and things are increasing, so I just wanted you to be well aware of that. So are there any questions I can answer for you about our organization?
Who refers them to you?
So they can be referred through DCS, prosecutor, or law enforcement. No one can actually call and say, can I?
That's what I was
Yeah,
wondering.
yes. So typically, and I think Chief Ely can correct me if I'm wrong, but even when the law enforcement might receive a phone call, they usually call DCS immediately to let them know that this is going on. So typically, it's a DCS referral. We might have cases where law enforcement has come across something, but there's maybe not exactly a safety issue that has been identified, but they think there is one. Then law enforcement comes in first before DCS.
I think Bridget,
Oh, was it Bridget?
Bridget came in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was sergeant.
Yes, so Bridget was our previous president. So I'm the new executive director. I started 3 weeks ago officially, but I've actually been the board president for 3 years, and I was on the board prior to that. And Bridget and I went to forensic interview class at the same time. I wrote all the grants and did all the paperwork to start Zoe's Place. So while I'm new as the executive director, I'm very seasoned as to the inner workings of Zoe's Place. But yeah, it probably was Bridget.
Anybody else have any questions for Katie Molander?
All right, well, thank you again, and good luck tonight.
Thanks, Katie. Next on the agenda is the financing for a new police vehicle.
We need a new police vehicle, kind of a vehicle that's fast as crime, and Bob can talk more about that. My questions are, it's already been ordered, it's being manufactured as we speak, should be done in 3-4 weeks. Of course, then I will have to go and get a light package and computer brackets and I don't know what else. That needs to be installed before we, take possession of it. The question tonight is the financing of it. We have in the budget, after we paid the final payment for the last Chevy Tahoe that we bought, there's another almost $17,000 in the budget for a police vehicle. The vehicle costs $42,230. That leaves about $25,000 that we can finance, or we can finance the full amount of $42,000 like you've done in the past. You've done the lease purchase agreement for 3 years, pay it over 3 years and then pay it off. Or we have the option to only finance the $25,000 that we don't have in the budget. Or the third option is to not borrow money at all, which you have money in that fund that was from previous years received and not used. And we can do no financing, so 0% interest rather than 5.19% interest, and pay it outright with additional appropriation.
Okay, so that option number one was paying for the whole price of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And option number two was paying or borrowing from what was left after paying what's in our budget for the vehicle.
Yep.
I wondered what the difference was.
And your third option is to simply pay it.
Okay.
Because we have the money.
Because you have the funds.
Yeah.
Which, to me, that makes sense.
Right.
It makes no sense to me to go and borrow at 5.19% when you have the money in your account. That's not actually making much interest.
I understood option one was finance the full amount.
Yeah, finance the full amount.
Yeah.
Finance
And then
the
the-
full, finance the 25, or don't finance it.
Yeah, finance the 25 is the difference between what's in our budget. Yeah, that's what I wondered when I first saw it. I didn't know what that was.
Sorry, I hope
Okay.
that clarified it. So, I know in the end, I'm administrating this, but I want to make sure that I get from you guys how you prefer to see it done.
I'll make a motion that we go with option 3, pay for the full vehicle and save the interest.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to pay for the vehicle outright. Is there any discussion on that? I think it's a good plan too.
You're good, and that's what we'll do, I'm sorry, you got that.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right.
Awesome, thank you. We'll go that way, and I will, at some point, it may all be done at the end of the year, but we'll do an additional appropriation, make sure that it all follows the right rules. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the department reports, and Chief Ely, you're up first.
Nothing exciting happened to me, Tom. I would just say we were very fortunate yesterday.
Yeah.
With an incident that occurred, that level 6 felony subject that ran from Hancock County. We assisted them on trying to get the guy stopped. We put stop sticks out, actually got the car tires hit. The subject was determined that he was not going to get stopped by the police. He ended up crashing just about Clint's house, I think, when it started, and then kind of ended up in an accident threat.
Yeah.
Fortunately, nobody's hurt. He did hit a parked car. We avoided probably 30 construction workers. And he was so far ahead of the officer. I don't even think he knew the officer was there anymore. He was determined he was going to be back in Indianapolis. So luckily, he was the only one that he was slightly injured, and he was taken immediately by ambulance to Eskenazi and returned to Hancock County Jail that night. So his injuries were very minimal. But he is currently incarcerated there. He's a local charges. Then when we're done, he will go to Johnson County for his other charges. So somebody was looking out yesterday.
It looked like an episode of Cops.
What's that?
It looked like an episode of Cops out there.
Each girl in Minnesota. Each girl is always got a group.
A lot of good work by all officers involved, so I was very happy.
What else you got there, Bob?
That's all for now.
Jim?
I don't have anything. We're good.
Okay. Steve couldn't be here tonight, but he sent us an email with those contracts for the community crossings. And I guess under this e-sign that we take a look at them, and then when they feel like it, they send us the document to sign, to e-sign. So that probably won't be too long, I don't imagine. But anyway, that stuff's supposed to be in your email. If you have any
clarify what
comments.
the amount is this year? 120 something?
I think
It was 150. That's over 100.
It was?
Because that was his threshold for getting like drawn up by.
Okay. I think it was 150 something. Okay.
I'm sure all that's in your information package.
Yeah, I know. I know. All those pages not in front of me at the moment.
Okay. Yvonne?
Only one thing, we've gotten the first signs that we're finally going to get our audit. The audit that we're supposed to get every 4 years or sooner. Last one was done in 2019. Last year that was audited was 2018. And we had requested an audit back in 2020 and we're told, no, that's not necessary. So we're finally getting it, which is a good thing. That needs to happen. And so they'll be auditing 2019, 20, 21, and 22. And we've uploaded the first information that they asked for. Now we automatically upload everything every month back in 19 and 20 that wasn't requested. So we went back, Jenny went back and sorted through everything and pulled that and uploaded it. So they have the starting point. We haven't heard back an exact date of when that's happening anymore. It is my understanding they don't come here to do most of it. They'll do most of it remotely and may show up here for a day or two or so. So we'll see. Should be an interesting adventure.
That's a good way to put it.
I'll keep you up to date on all that.
Thank you, Yvonne. Now, we open the floor for public comments, and we'll give anybody that wants to make a public comment 5 minutes to do so. Any takers?
Yeah, I'll take
Name, if you, yeah.
50 North Depot. I have to say that I knew instantly when Dale was here tonight that he was going to get crushed. He always does. I've been trying to get involved in this and what's going on, and clearly people cannot say what's on their mind. So I agree with you, Angie, in what you're saying there. I think that when you look out from here, you're running a business. This is a town that is supposed to be growing and so forth. Look, there's no one here. They're afraid to come and say anything, and you should look in the mirror on this, because it takes a lot to stand here and say something about it. But I love this town as much as you do, if not more. My kids graduated from here. This is important to me, and it should be important to you. When you go we lived in Fishers for a long time. They started as a town. When you went to those town council member meetings, standing room only. And everyone has a different opinion. I run companies. They all have a different opinion. We've got to respect that different opinion. But clearly we don't. We don't. A guy comes and says something, crush him. And that's what's happened every time I've been here. So I just want to say, when you look in the mirror, this is what you earn right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Next on the agenda is council comments. And the only comment I have is Doug has sent us information, a synopsis of his last couple of years of service to the town. We need to look that over, and then I've asked him to propose a contract that similar to the last one, where he has a set fee for coming to every meeting, and he'll probably get us to that before the next meeting. It'll probably be on the agenda for the next meeting. You got anything to add to that, Doug?
No, I'm just waiting for, I know Yvonne was looking at it, and haven't heard anything from Jim. I know Yvonne wanted to, it's time to peruse over it, so.
We
wait for
talked to
feedback from
Yvonne
her.
and looked at our budget and all that. Brandy?
Well, I was going to ask about the legal contracts. You nipped that in the bud. Thank you. So that got that one taken care of. As a reminder, I will not be present at the next meeting. I have a work obligation out of state. And so I apologize that I will not be here, but everyone's had advance notice. And the only other thing I would state is that I made some comments earlier in the meeting to express my concern over ongoing conflict or disagreement, or that I can't magically solve, and it's remarked about in the community consistently. Mr. Reed commented on it tonight, and the environment that exists. And for lack of anything else, Doug, I don't know if conflict resolution or there's any sort of legal conflict resolution or mediators or anything that can come in and work with the council. This group has to work together through the end of December for lack of anything in that equation changing. And I don't think anyone feels real fantastic up here or out there. And I'd like to see it change, or at least proactively, or do something maybe to change the environment. So I don't know if you have any ideas or anything like that exists, or even if the rest of the council would be open to it. But I think it is something that should be considered for the sake of the community. So we can talk later, or?
Oh, yeah, you expressed that last year, and then we looked into it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certainly conflict resolution and mediators that could come in and do a private session. I think ultimately you hit the nail on the head, though. Everybody has to be engaged and want to do that. So I'm happy to pull together those resources again if that's what the council would like.
So that's all, I just wanted to state that for the record and, discuss from there.
Thanks, Brandy.
You're welcome.
Bill?
Yeah, I'll say again, I said it at the last meeting, I said it at the meeting before that. I am more than happy at any time to talk to Angie one-on-one, answer any questions, explain things, but I'm not going to be interrogated or bullied, and I'm not going to waste the public time and energy in sparring over nonsense. I have made the offer numerous times to talk through issues, and none of those offers have been accepted. So I don't know why you would waste any effort with dispute resolution when offers have been made and not, accepted. So again, I'm more than willing to talk, but I don't think we need to try to grandstand in the public.
Thanks, Bill. Angie?
Grandstanding in the public didn't seem to be off the table for you at the end of the year last year, Bill. So because you decided to make it public and parade it across the newspapers and continue to talk about it in public meetings, I will not be having conversations with you one-on-one. If we were to have conversations, it's going to be done publicly. And that's all I have to say, so thank you.
Thanks, Angie. Chris?
I would like to thank your comments for being here, appreciate that. I agree, it'd be great to have a lot more people here, but we've had pretty crowds recently, but a couple things solved, they're not here now, so. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Brandy. I'd like to see just what we're trying to do here, the positive things for the town. That's what I want to try and focus on here. We don't have that much on for the rest of the year for a lot of us, and then I just want to try and do what we can to help out. That's one reason I'm here. So if we just focus on that, I'd be happy. That's it.
Thanks, Chris. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.